Hey guys, I know it's been a little while. In the last video I had talked about depression, and tonight we're going to talk about how I've been a shitty pagan lately. But here's the reality of it. I really think that I have been sabotaging myself when it comes to my spiritual practice. And I'm going to get into why. Now, I have my iPad here, which actually has some notes on this video just to keep me on track. But the first thing that I wanted to kind of dive into is that I really struggle with toxic perfectionism. And as a mother, I think that came out more when I became a mother. I am meticulous about my space, but I don't really think that's in the range of toxic perfectionism. I think that's more just clutter triggers my anxiety, and I feel more at peace with myself if things are in order. So I tend to keep my workspace and my altar and various other things that I am frequenting in my household neat and tidy just because that's just how I function. But where toxic perfectionism tends to manifest within myself is my expectations that I put upon myself. And that can be if I am, it's really, really apparent in motherhood with my kids. If I'm having a day where I am emotionally overwhelmed, or I am not feeling well because of chronic illness, or a plethora of things that I contend with, I tend to really be hard on myself. I'm not engaging enough. I'm not being a good mom. I just want to let them watch screen for a while so that I can reset myself. And somehow that's bad, even though it's not, because my children deserve a mother who is not grumpy and is doesn't have a cat fur attacking her chin. And is more put together and calm because she's taken the time to recharge herself. So I've been trying to dismantle this, especially as I have stepped into motherhood, but I've noticed it has bled over into paganism. Are you kidding me? I feel like I have to sneeze. This is the one time that I want the sneeze to go away. When you sneeze or you're about to sneeze and it doesn't go away and you're like, why? Why would you do this to me, body? Why would you betray me? Yeah, that's right. Betray me, body. Don't sneeze. um, this bleeds over into my pagan practice. And it's mostly shown up in, for instance, Sabaco's, and I don't have energy because I'm exhausted from being a person all day long, or I'm exhausted from being a person who has chronic pain all day long, or a person who is a mother, or a person who is a highly sensitive person and can only take so much stimuli before I'm like, I'm done. I am overwhelmed. Um, and so, a sabak, because I don't have the energy to give energy to ritual and give energy to the gods, and then I will beat myself up with that. The other thing that it tends to show up in is striving for that perfection in a daily practice. When I'm really trying to look at it more as what exactly does that look like to me? Because that can look different for everybody. And what sort of perfectionism pedestal am I putting this on? I have this vicious cycle where I expect it to go a certain way and it doesn't. And then I just don't commit to it. I don't do it. And it's frustrating to me because I'm thinking, how do I break this cycle? How do I lay this out so that a practice in a consistent way can work for me? And I've really been absorbing the concept of prayer, which I really have been apprehensive of that word for a long time just because of the connotation that it has to Christianity and how that actually really just made me uncomfortable. Truthfully, it did. I'm not. I try to be open and accepting and be mindful of the things that I say on my channel as a content creator, but I also want to be a little bit more open about my struggles with the societal indoctrination that Christianity has had upon me and the effects that it has had upon me in my pagan practice. one of which is that certain words will make me uncomfortable. Worship and prayer have always made me uncomfortable. And I'm now to the point where I'm trying to dismantle that a little bit within myself. So I've really been working with prayer and trying to figure out how I want to address my deities, how I want to pray to them regularly. One of the things that I have been doing on a regular basis is that every morning when I drop my sons off to school, I say a quick prayer to Frigg to protect them, because I get a lot of anxiety sending my kids to public school because of gun violence in this country. Let's face it, it's something needs to change. But that's not what this video is about. Essentially, that's just been really helpful for me to be able to say a quick prayer as I drop them off to Frigg, just saying, "Oh, Mother, please protect my children today." Or the other thing that I have been utilizing is being able to address my deities with prayer beads. I actually do want to do an updated video on that, because I have actually started to make prayer beads myself, and I have posted some on Instagram, but it's been really, really fun to do. So I probably will do a little video showcasing the ones that I've made, and going a little bit deeper into how that's worked for me. But being able to, I really connect with prayer beads. I always have. I remember when I was younger, I discovered the concept of a rosary. Even though I wasn't Catholic, I thought that the idea of it was awesome. And so I have really kind of gone back to that attachment in my past and started to utilize it in my practice today, because it feels like an old link. And I think that that's important to look at those things and kind of turn your way back to them, because it kind of feels like coming home in a way. It's a little hard to explain, but it feels like it's something that I've just known for a long time. So I have been utilizing prayer beads, and it's mostly in the sense of I will hold them and pray to that deity or call them to me. And it feels like I'm opening a link up to that deity. So that is something that I think has been really helpful for me when it comes to figuring out the concept of prayer and how that might work for me. But back to the toxic perfectionism thing, I am trying to figure out where I can sever that rotting limb, basically, and trying to figure out where I can now grow anew and figure out how to stop beating myself up, because we as pagans really do beat ourselves up with this. And I think one of the issues, and I've posted about this also on my Instagram, that one of the issues that is really difficult for us is that it is harder to find community in paganism. Now, with the internet, that has changed a lot, but I am still also very careful who I share my energy with. But I think I have gotten to the point in my practice where I do think that that needs to be more of a thing, that I need to seek out community. But there are pagans, many pagans, who don't want that. They prefer a solitary practice. That was me for years. And it is harder to hold yourself accountable when it comes to your spiritual practice. Not to mention, there's something to be said of a collective group energy. And I know I've talked about this before in some previous videos, but it is relevant to this conversation when it comes to it is more difficult for us as pagans to find community, keep community, or keep up in a consistent spiritual practice. A perfect example is there are 7 or 8 churches like within a mile radius of me, and yeah, now, if I really wanted to go to my church per se, my altar is right behind me and I could just step outside. So there's that. I mean, those are the positive aspects of it. But so I do think that toxic perfectionism does have a link to those lack of resources and to that lack of being able to hold ourselves accountable if you're trying to make a consistent daily practice where you feel more in tune and you're sort of trying to live a more spiritual life. That for me has been a massive goal that I've been trying to obtain, and I am beating my damn brains out trying to figure out how to accomplish it. So this video is mostly a rant about that. And I'm going to pick up my notes and refer to them because I want to make sure that I'm touching on the points that I did want to touch on. Of course, I'm using the wrong hand for my fingerprint reader. Okay, so let's see. I have a lot of good points here, and I'm trying to figure out what to touch on next. Let's see. I think I really let society dictate where I should be spiritually, and it's not it's more of on a subconscious level. Like I don't realize that I'm doing it, and what I mean by this is that if, for say, I'm visiting my husband's extended family, I feel like I cannot talk about my beliefs because, I mean, for instance, Easter is this weekend. We are going to go do Easter activities with my husband's extended family. Never once have I ever mentioned going to church. Never once have I ever given any indication that I'm Christian. I'm very open about my beliefs on my personal Facebook page, and I have my husband's extended family members in there. And I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of letting society dictate that as all just being in somewhat of a minority religion. I feel uncomfortable talking about my beliefs, and I I'm trying to sort of break that away too. The struggle is that sometimes that can open up doors that you don't really want to open when it comes to people who are just not willing to accept your beliefs. And I definitely don't want to tread on the line of I'm being really boisterous or pushy about my beliefs per se. That's not my goal. I just want to be my authentic self, truthfully. And I feel like I can't do that without really stopping this almost societal oppression, I guess, on alternative beliefs. And I do think that we are getting better about this stuff as we evolve as a society, but recent events have shown that that has been sliding back a little bit. And so that's challenging too. Now I'm gonna try. I'm sorry, guys. I keep referring to these, but it's just what's going to help me tonight because I really want to make sure that I am getting my points out that I have listed on here. I do think that when I talk about those societal standards, one of the other things that really plays into that and is a really big part of that is the fact that I don't trust my intuition as much as I should. I'm very quick to disregard it. I'm very quick to doubt it. I'm very quick to let imposter syndrome creep in, and I'm very, very quick to logic it away. Just throw logic at it, Oh, something feels icky in this room, but it's probably whatever, I'll make some sort of stupid justification that doesn't make any sense when my intuition's like, hey, you just probably felt that person's feelings. Hey, you probably just picked up on energy that someone left behind because there was some nastiness that just stuck around the room. And the more that I open myself up to that kind of stuff, the more that I trust my intuition, the more that things just kind of start snowballing and happening. And the more that I feel a little bit more fulfilled because I have a better understanding of how my intuition functions and how I can trust myself and the things that I experience. A perfect example, quick story time. I went to the pharmacy to get some of my medication, and it was terrible. I mean, the poor workers were just completely overwhelmed. They didn't have enough staff, and that's been a thing all over. And if this company would pay their employees better, maybe that wouldn't be an issue. But here we are. So, these poor workers are just trying the best they can, and every customer is just getting frustrated. And there was an altercation between a couple of customers where they were, you know, cursing back and forth at each other. And then the woman behind me was also, you know, boisterously kind of just like, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm literally in the middle of this, like literally in the middle. And I was just like, oh, get off me, don't touch me, get off me, don't touch me. Like, I got my things. I was very polite to the cashier. I left. I went home, and then I lit up some cedar incense and was immediately like, okay, let's just get this nastiness off of me. And I felt like that was me trusting my intuition and trusting the things that I felt. I energetically was being bombarded by all of the nasty crap that was going on at that pharmacy. And I came home and I immediately cleansed it. And then I was like, oh, I feel better. And I think that's so important to be able to trust those things when you get those feelings, when you walk in a room and you're like, ooh, something does not feel right. Or if your intuition just suddenly you're like, I feel like something's coming. I feel like something might be happening. I feel like maybe I need to do something. This can even happen with deity, where earlier today I was sitting there looking at my cat and I was like, I've always had such a strong connection with the cat since I was a kid, like a deep spiritual connection. And then all of a sudden I was like, boom, I think Freya has been with me my whole life. And that was a big realization for me, especially because she is the only deity that I've dedicated myself to, which was a massive step for me. So even little things like that, just trusting my intuition to know that that download I just got was something that was really legitimate and helpful to my practice to have that little understanding. Referring to notes again, just want to make sure that I am getting my points here. Okay. So I think there's only one other thing that I wanted to cover, and that is putting my spiritual life on the back burner. And I think this does kind of wrap back around to the whole toxic perfectionism thing when it comes at least to the fact that like I always put everyone else's needs before my own. And that is something that I'm really trying to unlearn. And it's been difficult, but it's deeply, deeply enrooted in me. To the point where, it goes way back. So I have been actively working on that in therapy and whatnot. But I think that, I look at my day, and if we walk through my day, you will see that everything else is done first before I take the time to do anything spiritual, even though I wake up and I feel that pull towards my altar, or that pull to step outside, or that pull to, um, you know, put intention in my coffee. And those little things are actually very powerful when you start to mix the mundane with the spiritual. And I've been trying very hard to do that more, but it does get bogged down. It does get mixed up. I wake up, it's a school day for my kids. It's immediately get up, get them ready, get everything taken care of, feed the cats, feed the kids, pack their lunches, pack their backpacks, make sure they have everything they need. Constantly, constantly hound them. Get your shoes, get your things, get ready, stop playing. We have to focus on getting to school. It's just, the life of a mom. And that's fine, but I still have I have one kid who's in school full time, and then I have another one who's only in school for 2 hours a day. So those 2 hours that I get to myself 5 days a week is seriously mostly just me sitting there on the couch drinking coffee, trying to get my very old computer brain to slowly boot up because I'm not a morning person. And I think that's another struggle, is that I want to spend that time, or I want to spend the morning to do my spiritual practice, and sometimes I do. But a lot of the time it's just me trying to get ready for the day, at least in here, get ready for the day. And I don't I don't put my spiritual practice first, in the sense of if the dishes need to get done, if the vacuuming needs to get done, if the kids need something, if there's something that my husband needs. This is the life of a stay-at-home parent. And I am on the cusp of that changing, where I will now start to be adding schooling or a career into the mix, which I can get into that much more at in another video if you guys are curious kind of what I'm looking to go into. But I need to stop putting my spiritual practice as a last resort. The other way that this shows up in my life is that if I'm struggling with something, magic, witchcraft, and paganism, obviously because I am both a practicing witch and a pagan, those are my last resorts. Often I forget that I can turn to these things in times of need, when it is one of my most powerful tools to utilize, especially for when it comes to something that I might be struggling with. If I'm struggling with something within myself, or a relationship, or a conflict, or just trying to navigate my life a little bit, um, this is a powerful tool, and this is the reason that I came to witchcraft in particular, and then paganism following shortly after, is the ability to take control and try and put myself in the driver's seat in some ways. And I get so angry at myself that I'm not turning to this stuff more, because it is it's the most powerful tools that I can utilize aside from just emotional awareness, emotional growth, therapy, medication, having people at that I trust, that I can go to confide in, that and have support, and have a support system. Um, those things are absolutely fantastic and all fine and good, and I will utilize those alongside my craft. But the problem is that I don't go to my craft nearly as much as I should. And I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but it absolutely frustrates the ever living shit out of me. It really does. So I think that's all I wanted to cover. I've rambled on for about 20 minutes now, but I just really wanted to talk about self-sabotage and some of the things that I've been struggling with my spiritual practice, and kind of start up this conversation, because sometimes I do think that it's not talked about enough. I have seen some things on it, but I just wanted to put it out there to see if anyone else has these issues, and if anyone else wants to do a VR, or put comments down below. Also, guys, I am so sorry. I'm going to try and be better about responding to comments. I read every single one of them. And even if it's just putting a like on it so you guys know that I've read it, I need to be better about it all, and I apologize. So that is something that I also will be working on. But I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, blessed be.